Hi, this is the Chronicles of Jacqueline, and I wanted everybody to take a look at this book called Treasures of Darkness, and what it says right there. For I say to you, from now on, you shall not see me until you say, Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. So who came in the name of the Lord? That's Yeshua, Jesus Christ. Yod He Vav He in Hebrew pictogram means behold the hand, behold the nail. So who has the hand that has the nail? So we have all these expressions, hang in there, right? Hang in there. So what does it look like? Hang in there. You have these expressions, nail it down. Okay. Now, if you look at the letter I, before there was a letter J, there was only the letter I, and there is a letter Y. So it's not Israel, it's Yisrael. Okay, at one point, and then it's not Jerusalem, it's Yerushalayim. Jesus' name was Jesus. When you look at the top of Jesus on the crucifix, they have this word it says Inri. What that means is Jesus Nazarenos Rex Jerusalem, something like that. So you can research that out. But the Inri, so Jesus. So before it became Jesus, it's Yeshua. So Yeshua HaMashiach, and a lot of Messianic Jews use that term when they're referring to Jesus Christ, is the Hebrew form of Jesus Christ, Yeshua HaMashiach. So Yeshua is not, there's no letter J up until a certain amount of time in history, maybe up until the 1600. My point here is to go over why I'm praying for Hasidic Jews and Ultraorthodox Jews. Is because I think that when you look in the Bible, it does make mention in this book that the new Pharisees is actually looking like the current modern day Hasidic Jews and Ultra-Orthodox Jews. And there is a difference between the Hasidic Jews and the Ultra-Orthodox, and it's going to be explained in that book, and I'm still studying it, and even though I've been to Israel 3 times. Now, why am I so fascinated with Jewish people and praying for them? It's because in my name is actually Jacqueline. I was named after Jacqueline Kennedy, so it's not because, I'm necessarily Jewish, but it's the name Jacqueline. So I don't understand. I had to kind of, as I grew up, I was wondering where that name came from. And they said, well, it's French. And, oh, well, it's the Kennedy. And Kennedy is French. And she has this name. And my mom liked her because she's fashionable. I don't think I'll ever come to that level of fashion. But I later on had seen some news that says that the VVA, in particular Jacqueline Kennedy, is Jewish. Now, interestingly, when I had been prayed over by a rabbi who came to a church, he mentioned to me, be wise as a serpent, gentle as a dove, and you need to find your family bloodline. And knowing that he's Jewish person, I was kind of wondering, does he think I'm Jewish? Because it doesn't make sense, because I'm Filipino, and I thought this poor guy misconstrued me as one of his people. And I'm like, I'm Asian looking, and the way I perceive many Jewish people is that they don't look like me. However, what is fascinating, perhaps he was talking in the spirit, because I think spiritually I am tied in with Jewish people. And I tell you why. When I did research my grandparents' name, it fell into, one is Ramirez and one is Lopez. Now, my grandma has been to Israel, and so did 2 of her daughters, and so did one other cousin of mine. So my grandma, my 2 aunts, then there's my cousin, and I was the 5th person to go to Israel, and even my sister wanted to go to Israel. I now have a lot more friends that wanted to go to Israel. I go join a church that is, Messianic Jewish, and a lot of them go to Israel many times in the year, and I affiliate with a lot of these people because more and more we have a strong heart. We've got a big heart for the Jewish people. So with them, what this book is saying is that the Jewish people, the Ultra-Orthodox today, not the modern ones, they are hooked up with with Kabbalism and mysticism. Now, I used to only think that the ultra-Orthodox, they just read the Old Testament and they study it. Well, apparently, they don't just study the Old Testament. They believe in the commentaries. There's the Mishnah, the Talmud. Now, the Talmud, there's two. There's the Jerusalem Talmud, there's the Babylonian Talmud. Now, anytime it says Babylonian, you got to be very skeptical about it because almost always it is a deception. Now, Kabbalism is also very typical of Chasidism in the Chasidic or Hasidic Jews, and it's also within the Ultra-Orthodox Jews. What that tells you now is that if people are dwelling, okay, Jesus Christ said you cannot put new wine in an old wineskin. It will burst. And also, he talked about how, just like it says here, for I say to you, from now on you shall not see me until you say, blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. That means that the children of these Pharisees, the then Pharisees, or the Lord can inflict people with spiritual blindness. And this is the reason why we cannot force people to become Christians. Only the Holy Spirit. We have to be supportive of them as Jewish people in order for us to be able to help. And we cannot force it. So the only way that we can function is that we need to be supportive and understanding. I need to know what they are learning. I need to know, because it's like I have an advantage. I come from the Philippines, but I have grandparents who had Jewish last name. Now, some people that are Polish, they'll assume themselves to be Jewish just because they have Hispanic, they have Jewish last name. Well, my last name, I always assumed it as Hispanic. Well, apparently it's Sephardic Jewish name. Now, you can say that Sephardic Jewish name, what is the Sephardic Jewish name doing in the Philippines? And it's very simple. It's because Magellan got a hold of a Malayan person, and he went all the way to the Philippines with an interpreter who speaks Malayan, and the people in the Philippines are not indigenous of the Philippines. Many of the people who ended up in the islands of the Philippines are Malayans and Indonesians, and at this point in time, there's already a big number of Muslim people growing in different parts of Asia, specifically Indonesia and Malaysia, and even the southern part of the Philippines, the Mindanao. Now, in the Mindanao, they have Lapu-Lapu, who's the chief of the Moors, and this Moor will kill and cut off people's head. And so basically, all of the islands in the Philippines were bound to become Muslim, except Magellan came with the Malayan person. I don't know what his name is, and I have to do more studies on that. But this is what I had come across when doing the research before. So basically, what's happened is Filipino people, when I went to Israel and I started researching online, and I was looking up Sephardic Jewish names because I do have Spanish people, and literally Spaniards in my family, especially on my dad's side, I had found that almost all of the names of my classmates are in fact Sephardic Jewish names. Why did I have Sephardic Jewish names? It's because when Magellan came, he took with him a handful of, maybe more than a handful of Jewish people that were coming out of Spain and Portugal. Now, Magellan is a Portuguese who ended up in Spain, and he learned, he got money from King Philip, which is why the Philippines is called the Philippines, is because of King Philip paying for his voyage. So Magellan took with him all of this, one Malayan, at least one Malayan, and he took with him many Jewish people who are all trying to escape Spain and wanting to have a better life somewhere else because they felt ostracized, perhaps. So Magellan carried with him Old Testament. In fact, he carried the Bible. Okay, he carried the Bible, and he had this Malayan-speaking person, and that Malayan-speaking person spoke with the different kingdoms within the islands of the Philippines and says, well, you guys are struggling with the Moors. What we have here is the Bible and the God of this Magellan, the god of Magellan, is from the Bible. It's all about the Bible, and wouldn't you prefer this god over the Moors? And these Indonesians and Malayan people, they looked at Magellan, and they were so happy, and they made a blood pact. And what they did is they cut the wrist, and then they exchanged blood. They think that that is how our spirit is going to be. This is a contract, okay? This is how you did contract with the Malayans, is that you slice the wrist, Magellan sliced his wrist, and both of them did a blood pact. And now they said, okay, well, you all wanted to be Christians, therefore all of your names are going to be part of the Bible. We will get rid of your culture. We will put in our last names. Now, I didn't know why. If you look in the Philippines, so many Maria, so many Jose, and so on and so forth. What people need to understand is that the blood pact did not just mean we're going to be baptized. That also meant that they're going to change our last names. And all of these Sephardic Jewish last names ended up in the Philippines. That's why I don't tell people that I'm Jewish, but I do have grandparents with Jewish last names. So one of them came straight out of Spain, and the other, not, the last name did. We have bloodline in the Spaniard people, among the Spaniard people, but also bloodline among the Filipino people. So, with that being said, I ask and I pray that more of the history of the Philippines be given to many of the Filipinos and many of the Jewish people, so that they understand that Filipino people has a calling for many Jewish people over the fact that we made a pact with Magellan, and Magellan brought with him so many Jewish people, and these Jewish people who wanted to escape the Spanish and the Portuguese area, they decided to have a living, and that's the reason why there were it was under the Spanish control for the longest time. It's not just about the fact that they were Christians. There's a lot of Christian Portuguese who are of a Jewish bloodline, and those are the people that are specifically very interested in leaving Spain. And they ended up in the Philippines, and they were happy. They had children with a lot of Filipinos. They also, they were sort of an elite. They were different from the American Europeans. They had a different knowledge, so to speak. And I'm observing that it's a very different kind of. It's not like the colonial. I think the colonialism from the Britain is a little different from the Spanish, because we sort of got there's a certain kind of elitism that took place there, but Filipinos are not hateful of Spanish people. We let it go. We let whatever is not good in our past, we just let it go, and we continue to eat, and we are happy being Christians. So I wanted to point that out, and again, I'm praying more and reading about this amazing book that is shedding a lot of truth on the Hasidism and Ultraorthodox, and God bless you.